What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with a video about the 9.1 Honor Talent rework that Blizzard has announced. So, Blizzard is looking for feedback on Honor Talents for a variety of specs. Actually, all specs. Because they haven't really done any Honor Talent revisions since its inception in Legion. There's a ton of stale talents for every spec of every class, and pretty much, I want to say almost every spec probably has like maybe 4 or 5 talents that they play around in the honor tree, and that's it. Ret is no exception to that. So I'm going to list out the Ret honor talents in categories of, useless, never used, pretty much, hardly run, and then mandatory. And the list of mandatory talents is actually, it is the most of all the honor talents categories. You can stick a bunch of these in the mandatory, but unfortunately we only get 3 talents. And of those talents, let me actually pull it up for you. We hardly swap out of this specific setup, maybe sometimes into a Vengeance Aura setup, but in Arena, that is pretty much it. In BGs, you have a little bit more flexibility, but even then, your damage talents are pretty much always Aura Reckoning and Lawbringer. And then instead of Sanctuary, you're probably running Unbound Freedom or Law and Order. So let's break down the talents right now into the useless category. So there are 3 talents that I never, ever touch ever. And those are Luminescence, Cleansing Light, and Ultimate Retribution. Now, in RBGs, some people might say, oh, you could use a Luminescence and you'll get a bunch of healing out, but then you're sacrificing your own player's power. Say you're not in a team fight, or you're getting off cards on a base, or you're fighting in a group without a healer. Luminescence is not going to provide you any benefit. You can meme around and run like a 5 Ret Paladin rated BG and then have everyone run a Luminescence, but that's not meta, and that's also not very good. Cleansing Light, another thing that is never, ever taken. One, because, what's an Unholy DK? What's a Assassination Rogue? Those don't exist. And 2, our cleanse is already baseline pretty much. We get 4 seconds off and then it's AoE, and even when DKs and rogues are good, their poisons aren't really doing that much damage. So it's more of an AoE Mortal Strike cleanse against only assassination rogues. Like, that is what you would use it for. Say an assassination rogue is AoEing your group, and you want to AoE dispel the mortal wounds from the wound poison. But actually, no. That's completely and totally useless. That situation will almost never, ever happen, and it is not worth giving up one of your much more powerful honor talents. So that is definitely on the chopping block. Another honor talent that some people like memeing around with in BGs is Ultimate Retribution. And essentially what this is it's a slightly better version of Retribution Aura, and another similar thing to Aura Reckoning. Now, between these 3 spells right here, we have Aura Reckoning, gives you wings. Ultimate Retribution gives you wings. Retribution Aura, someone dies, gives you wings. What do we see here? We see a pattern of they're all the same thing. They're all essentially the same thing. They proc a wings. Why do we need another talent that gives us a wings proc? Now, this talent does have something that is very niche. You can res in combat, and the res is a 6-second cast time. You will never get that off in any sort of competitive PvP environment, ever. Someone will always kick that, whether it's in an arena, in anything more than maybe a 15 or 1600 RBG, someone's going to notice. It is so unlikely that you will get a res off in combat that it is not worth picking up ever for that exact reason. And then now we can move on to the next category, which is hardly run. So these are the talents that I've chosen maybe once at some point during this expansion. And, honestly, it was kind of just a test. And those are, unfortunately, Jurisdiction, because Jurisdiction used to be baseline, and it used to be even better. I'm pretty sure Hammer of Justice used to be baseline 30-yard range at points during different expansions, like Kata and Wad, and maybe Mop as well. Jurisdiction adds 10 yards to your Hammer of Justice, and this is really useful for fighting against Resto Druids, Mistweaver Monks, stuff that you can't really catch in your normal stun length, range. So 1, this is not really run because we don't see too many Mistweavers and Resto Druids, but at the same time, when you're fighting those comps, or those healers in those comps, you kind of are more hesitant to, you know, use a Law and Order instead, something that's going to give you more consistent uptime, rather than, oh, I'm going to go Hodge, oh, he's going to port, it's still going to be out of range of my Hodge anyway, because it's only a 10-yard increase. So, in that scenario, it's really tough to justify giving up one of your primary honor talents for a jurisdiction, therefore it's hardly ever taken. The next is Divine Punisher, which of all the damage increase talents is actually, you know, it's probably the worst of our damage increase talents. And the reason is, in BGs, a lot of the times you're not really judging the same target twice, right? In Arena, you do. You quite frequently judge the same target twice, so this might see a little bit more play. But the issue is, take a look at this talent right here, Lawbringer. Now, the parallels between these is this is essentially both just adding extra damage through Judgment. And it's not very interesting or interactive in any way. Like, well, I guess the Lawbringer is even less interactive because it's just passive 5% damage if you judge someone twice. But Divine Punisher is a little bit more interactive, but still not as good because it's not just big consistent damage that, you know, can potentially AoE spread with Lawbringer. So if I was to ever pick and choose between what to keep of these and put on the chopping block, I'd say get rid of Lawbringer, scrap Lawbringer, and then give us, or let us keep Divine Punisher because it's a bit more interactive. But that brings me to the mandatory talent category, and we have so many quote-unquote mandatory talents which are unfortunately, you know, we have to select from. And one, you can have an opinion and say this is good gameplay, you know, it makes thoughtful and selected and hard choices. But really, what it feels like to me is it feels like we are an incomplete class without all of these added up. So our mandatory talents are Law and Order, Blessing of Sanctuary, Vengeance Aura, Aura of Reckoning, Lawbringer, and Unbound Freedom. And all of those are really strong ret PvP talents at the moment. But you will pretty much only ever see rets running one set of cookie cutter builds. And it's the build from the beginning of the video right here, Blessing of Sanctuary, Aura of Reckoning, and Lawbringer. Now, we used to have a baseline Dispel for CC attached to our Blessing of Sacrifice right here. And we used to have 2 charges, Blessing of Sacrifice as well. Now, what I would like to see going forward is I would like to see Blessing of Sanctuary buffed. I want there to be a straight up magic Dispel on Blessing of Sanctuary. One of the defining things about Ret is we had, you know, we were a DPS class that could dispel magic. So we could dispel Hunter Trap. We could dispel Rogue Poly. We could dispel, you know, Silence. Well, technically we can now dispel Silence, but it's restricted to stun, silence, fear, and horror effects rather than just magic effects. I guess we traded stuns for the magic dispel in Legion at some point, but honestly, I think I would rather the magic dispel because we always have Bop to get rid of a rogue kidney shot or something like that. That is what I would like to see come to Blessing of Sanctuary, but as a standalone talent, this is one talent that I could probably see, you know, you don't absolutely have to touch it. It's just on my wish list. Give us back the magic dispel, or you could even put another honor PvP talent in place of Blessing of Sanctuary, so we have to make a choice. Do we want to remove stuns, or do we want to have a magic dispel? You know, if it's too strong to add in the magic dispel to just Sanctuary, split it up into 2 talents, but give us the option. So say we're fighting Rogue Mage and we want to take, you know, maybe the Mage is more annoying with the Polymorph and we want to take the Poly Dispel. Give us that. Or, you know, maybe at some point in the meta, rogues come back and they do insane damage again, and we have to dispel kidney, so we'll run Sanctuary. Just either one of those could be a cool pick and choose option. And if we got to choose both, then we would have to sacrifice one of the other damage talents. Now, right now, Aura of Reckoning is so strong, but I think with all our other ways to proc our wings randomly, I guess not randomly, but you know, if someone dies or gets low with ultimate retribution, maybe we could rework one of those talents, either ultimate retribution or Aura of Reckoning, into something that reduces the cooldown on avenging wrath, similar to how the mage fireball combustion mechanic works. So maybe every 2 Templars, or every, like, I don't know, 5 or 6 holy power. It could be based on holy power, or it could be based on getting crit. But every time you got crit, maybe you reduce the cooldown on wings by 3 seconds. Maybe that would be OP, so there could be an internal cooldown on it. But that's just a suggestion. I know Aura of Reckoning just got reworked this expansion, but it's really weird. It's just like, there's not really control behind it. You're just gonna get crit, and eventually you're gonna auto during combat, and you're not really holding your auto, so you can't control when you want to pop your Aura of Reckoning anymore. But you could control when do you want to have a go with your Avenging Wrath if it was a shorter CD. Next, in terms of the mandatory DPS talents, or I guess the BIS DPS talents between Vengeance Aura and Lawbringer, Vengeance Aura is situationally good in PvP because, say you go against a double caster cleave like Mage Lock, and they're spam sheeping, and maybe they're running with the druid, they're spam cloning. It's going to give some deterrence, or you know, some retribution for getting CC'd so long, but it's just passive damage. You know, it's not really that impactful. It's not going to stop the enemy team from CCing you. Like, the damage is not that good that it's going to deter someone from actually, oh, I don't feel like polying the ret right now because when he comes out of the 3DR poly, he's gonna really hurt me. It's not that strong, but it is something. And the same thing goes with Lawbringer. It's just something. It's just more damage. Don't get me started on Unbound Freedom. This feels so mandatory against any comp that has a purge or a dispel effect. You pretty much have to run Unbound Freedom against shamans and mages, even warlocks at this point, because warlocks can purge off your freedom and then they can permanently slow you with a corruption. So right now, against any sort of caster team other than maybe a Boomy, nope, even against Boomy, you run Unbound Freedom, so you can freedom your healer out of roots. This is pretty much mandatory. So you know, sometimes you'll see yourself trading off either Sacrifice or Lawbringer for Unbound Freedom. And one way I could see them either adjusting this talent or I don't know. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. What I was going to lead into is one way I could see them adjusting this is something to do with Seed of Glory, which is a prot talent right now. And what Seed of Glory does is it makes your right now actually it's bugged. It makes you immune to CC, but soon enough next patch they're going to fix that bug. And it's going to be immune to roots and slows only. Maybe Steed of Glory comes in and gets put into the ret talent tree to compete with Unbound Freedom. Maybe we could have a full mobility build where we run Unbound Freedom and then we run Steed of Glory. You know, say what you want, but that could make rets really fast, but you're going to give up probably Aura of Reckoning and Lawbringer for that to happen. So you'll be losing out on damage. Another idea that I have with Lawbringer is just replace it with Long Arm of the Law. So instead of having Lawbringer give damage, you're gonna give us your old like 40 to 60% movement speed, or something like Pursuit of Justice from Warlords of Draenor. When we had more holy power, we would run 5 to 10% faster, and then I think at 5 holy power we were running like 30% faster or something like that. But at the time, I'm pretty sure we also had a base movement speed increase on it by 10%. So they could just completely rip Warlords of Draenor talents and put them in the current PvP talent tree, and that would be awesome. Now, granted, we do more damage now than we did in Warlords of Draenor. Straight up. Like, our burst is stronger, our consistent damage is a little bit stronger. We're still just mostly killing in Divine Soul Wings goes right now, but I would trade every single damage talent that we had in the PvP tree just to get Deed of Glory, Pursuit of Justice, is it Long Arm of the Law? Yeah, Long Arm of the Law, the Judgment Sprint, maybe even Emancipate. So right now, both Prot and Holy have a pseudo Emancipate, which for those of you that don't know, Emancipate used to be a 0 cooldown spell that Rets could spam on themselves to cleanse one slow or one root. You just have to press it over and over to cleanse yourself, and that is how we had our mobility. You know, we did not have any super movement speed increases. We didn't have a gap closer, so all we were was unslowable, pretty much. And now that is totally polar opposite the case. But yeah, they have their, let me respec right here. I'll show you guys. Let's go protection. I'm not positive the name of the talent. Let me just refresh myself real quick. It is called Hallowed Ground. So your consecration clears and suppresses all snare effects on allies within its area of effect. We could get some iteration of this talent, if not this exact talent. And then also Steed of Glory right here. Man. There's a lot of honor talent reworks that could happen for Ret that I would absolutely love, and that I think Blizzard should do. It would please the Paladin community to have some sort of mobility increase in PvP. Not only is mobility, you know, just required and absolutely needed for the class, it's fun. I think being mobile is half the battle in being fun, having fun on a class. It's not fun to RP walk around an arena. Sorry, I'm running. I'm RP walking. It's not fun to be doing this when you don't have freedom. And when I say we don't have freedom, yes, when you don't have freedom, you could have both steed charges and you'd still be going this slow against a warlock with a corruption slow, which is permanent, against a warrior that's just hamstrung you, against you know, even piercing howl from a warrior, frost DK chains of ice. You really only ever get to move faster than this when you have your freedom. And yeah, that's not really fun. That is not something that is enjoyable. And in order to offset that, we have to do absolutely insane damage when we get to our target, which is not enjoyable for other people. So it's a win-win. Take away some of our damage PvP talents, or not take away, but, you know, readjust them and work in mobility spells. That is my wish list. All right, guys, I know it's been a bit of a rant / a long video. Thanks for watching. Feel free to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/LvladenPvP. I'll see you all next video. Peace.